So we are live now. A very good evening to everybody. I welcome you all on behalf of Mentor Me. We are back with yet another webinar, this time on CLAT 2024. Mentor Me is hosting a series of webinars on various topics related to different career options, different entrance exams, and various other topics that may be relevant to students for their career exploration and career choice. So, for today's webinar, we have an expert with us, Mr. Prashant Sugan. Uh, Mr. Prashant is co-founder of eCoaching, that is an online platform for preparation of various competitive exams that include aptitude-based questions. And Mr. Prashant himself is a verbal trainer, speaker, career counselor, and entrepreneur, and he has an experience of more than 10 years in education sector. And as a CLAT mentor, he has empowered his students to achieve success in verbal, logical, and legal sections. And his students have been successful in getting admission in all NLUs across India. Apart from this, he has experience in various other positions, especially in sales and marketing, concentrating on strategic planning, channel sales, and product development. So, without wasting any time, I hand over the stage to Mr. Prashant. Sir, it's over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the lovely introduction. So, a very good evening to one and all. Let's start with the agenda today. So, we are talking about understanding CLAT. Specifically for CLAT 2024, so less of understanding because I'm assuming that because it's CLAT round the corner, we are talking about 1st of December 2024, wherein we'll be having our CLAT examination. The D-Day is finally here. I'll take you guys through the key areas to focus on in if I talk about the next 35 odd days, what all things you need to take care of, what will be the study techniques, and how many marks you should give, and is it all about giving marks, and if not only giving marks, we have to talk about analysis as well, what kind of analysis you should do, the scoring section, or let's say the sections where you are struggling, what kind of strategies which you need to take care of. So these are all the things which we'll be covering in today's webinar, right? So for the next 30-35 minutes, that is what the areas which I'll be taking you into, right? So specifically we are talking about CLAT. It's for national law universities across India, right? And this year there is one more university, one more NLUs which has been added as far as CLAT is concerned. So we are talking about overall 26 national law universities taking admission through CLAT as an examination, right? And typically, if I talk about CLAT, so they give you degrees. It's a 5-year integrated program into law right after your 12th, and the students, irrespective of their stream, whether it is humanities, commerce, or let's say science, they can still go ahead and appear for this particular examination. Students who are currently in 12th standards, they also can appear, they are eligible, and the age limit of giving this examination is 60 years. So why I'm telling you is because I give CLAT exam every year, because that is what my forte is, that is what I do. I train students on English, general knowledge, legal aptitude, so logical reasoning for that matter. So this is what we are training students on. So this is what CLAT is all about. It's a 5-year integrated program giving you a degree of BA LLB or a BB LLB. Then there are certain NLUs like GNLU which give you a degree of Bachelor in Social Work plus LLB as well, and BCom LLB as well. So these are kind of degrees which you will get right after your 12th standard, and the eligibility criteria is 45% in your 12th. That's what they are asking for as far as CLAT is concerned. इसके लिए the exams which you need to give is, as I said, CLAT, the common law admission test. Earlier, this exam typically was conducted in the month of May after 12th, but then the consortium of NLUs, they went ahead and they came to a decision that let's take an examination in December itself. So from the last 2 years, this exam is happening in December, and this year it is on 1st December 2024. After that, on 8th of December 2024, there will be a separate examination of NLU Delhi. So NLU Delhi is the only NLU across the country which takes its own independent examination, which is AILET, which is All India Law Entrance Test. So if I talk about the key sections as far as CLAT exam is concerned, right? So when I'm talking about key sections, there are 5 important sections or areas wherein CLAT as an examination they test students on. The first is English language, which they called English or verbal ability, or let's say comprehension section, wherein it is all about passages. So roughly 20% of your overall paper, I repeat, 20% of your overall paper is verbal ability or English comprehension, typically 24 odd questions or 25 odd questions with 5 passages, right? That's what I'm just giving you this idea based on the last year paper. And what they typically ask, if I compare the last 2 year paper, is reading comprehension only. They will test you on the passages, which is across all genres. They may test you on legal passages or economy passages or arts, literatures. So all sort of passages you can expect in this examination, similar to when you were solving unseen passages in your 11th and 12th. The difficulty level is somewhat higher because they are more getting into the idea based questions, right? Overall, this paper is of 2 hours. 120-minute paper is there. How these particular section becomes difficult, I'll talk about it. So the first section we are talking about is English language, which is a paper which is 20% of your paper. Second is your general knowledge. When I'm saying general knowledge, again, roughly your 25% of your paper is GK paper, right? Wherein they ask 30 odd questions, more or less. And if I talk about GK, it's typically current affairs. The last 14 months current affairs you guys have to work upon. And if I talk about last 12 14 months current affairs, right? So I'll talk about how you can go and take ahead from where you have to prepare and what you have to prepare. So English 20%, GK 25%. The third section is legal reasoning, which they call it. And legal reasoning is, again, the consortium has very clearly mentioned that we don't want any student to have a prerequisite knowledge as far as legal reasoning section is concerned. You should know how to apply the legal reasoning which is given to you in CLAT examination. And then the 25% of this paper is legal. So again, no prior knowledge. Someone who is decent enough with reading, someone who is good with logical reasoning, they know how to apply, they can go ahead and crack this examination, crack this section as well. The fourth section is critical reasoning, and based on my experience, specifically if I talk about, so I'm training students from last 10 12 years now. The last 3 students, this is the area wherein majority of the students are struggling, which is CR section, critical reasoning section. And if I talk about critical reasoning section, why students are struggling, because it's a combination of two things. We are talking about verbal, which means you should be good with reading speed, and then logic. You should know how to apply the logic, because they may ask you questions related to author argument, strengthening the argument, weakening the argument, assumptions behind the author argument, conclusion, inference, all sort of things will come under a critical reasoning section. So this is the section wherein majority of the students typically struggle, right? That's section number 4. Again, 20% of the paper, 24 25 odd questions. So overall, if I talk about 120 marks paper, your roughly 50 odd questions are 50 odd questions put together is your English and critical reasoning. And then you have 50% of the paper which is GK and legal. So overall 90% is this, and 10%, which means 12 odd questions, is quantitative ability, which basically when you say maths, so it's not maths, it's basic quantitative ability. And typically someone who is a student who is decent enough with basic concepts of arithmetic, typically if I talk about percentages, profit and loss, ratio and proportion, these three, or averages and partnership, these 4 chapters or 4 units are good to go if you want to do, or if you want to score good as far as CLAT exam is concerned. So 120 marks paper, 120 minutes. And if I have to talk about top 3 national law universities, if you want to get into this, when I'm saying top 3 national law universities, we are talking about Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Kolkata. If you want to crack these universities, out of 120 expected cutoff, which generally these universities ask for, is somewhere between 95 to 100. So if you are clocking somewhere between 95 to 100, that is where you can expect you can get entry into these top 3 national law universities. And if I talk about all universities put together, roughly a score out of 120, the last rank is basically 75, somewhere around 75, wherein you can get an NLU. If I talk about CLAT, so it opens degree to various fields, right? When I'm saying litigation, right? When I'm talking about going and argumenting in the court, corporate law, yes, this is where majority of the students are getting into. Majority of female candidates are applying for CLAT for this important thing, because that's where we are talking about a corporate law wherein you need a legal advice. Companies are looking forward for a legal advisors. You can get into public services, because if you are targeting examination like UPSC, CLAT basically ensures, it creates a very great, very strong base, strong foundation to crack UPSC examination. Then if you want to get into law firms as well, right? We are talking about AZB, Amarchand Mangaldas, we are talking about Crisil. These are some good law firms, Khetan for that matter. These law firms, they go to national law universities to recruit students. After that, you can even get into, if you want to, let's say, get into public sector undertakings also, you can target those as well. You want to get into academia also, you want to get into legal process outsourcing for that matter. So these are some of the career opportunities. Or if someone want to get into politics, yes, law is something which you can definitely go and aspire for. Roughly, I would say 60,000, yes, odd students, they compete for law CLAT examination every year for somewhere around 3,000 odd seats. I'm talking about NLUs. And apart from NLUs, there are certain private colleges also, those who take admissions on the basis of CLAT examination. For example, now, if I talk about UPS Dehradun, if I talk about Narsi Munshi in Mumbai, so these are the colleges, they do accept CLAT score, and there are other players as well, other colleges as well, those who accept CLAT scores for a 5-year integrated program into law, right? And when I'm saying, the motivation to pursue a career in law, that's what I said. There are many opportunities which basically you can go ahead, you can go and pursue law. There are ample amount of opportunities, a good placements for that matter. When I'm talking about all these law firms, the legal advisor. So when we talk about legal advisor, let's say companies. So right from Paytm to Wipro to Infosys to TCS, whatever companies you can name, they need legal advisors, and they pay or they give you packages at par with, when you compare it with, let's say the IIMs, or for that matter IITs, considering you are good at it and you have done it from a good NLUs. So these are the 5 sections which we have just mentioned, the 5 key areas. So English language, I repeat, it's comprehension, 25 questions, right? Comprehension based. To the major thing, if I talk about key areas of focus apart from this section, you need to build your reading speed. And now when I'm talking about roughly 2 months around the corner, not even 2 months now, we are talking about 50 odd days. In these 50 days, the key area is to be, because if I talk about CLAT examination, it is 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. That's what the timing is, right? The dates are still open. If someone want to fill up the CLAT form, it's still open till 15th of October. You can still go ahead. It's a 4,000 rupees form which you need to fill. Now, and then there are certain domicile seats also available in all the major national law universities, including NLU Bangalore as well, wherein if someone who is from a particular state, they can get admissions into these national law universities. So when I'm saying 2 to 4, this examination is there. And one of the major problem which I've seen students are facing is that concentration for those 2 hours in that period, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., right? Now, from now onwards, if you are planning to go ahead for CLAT examination, make sure this 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., these 120 minutes, you should be very active. Read newspaper, read books, read fiction, read non-fiction, read whatsoever, but do read these two 120 minutes. And this particular 2 hours is where you need to be, this particular time you need to be active. Because if at that point of time, during CLAT examination, as I said, paper is a lot of reading. So English language first, current affairs, as I said, it's more of last 14 months GK. Now when I said what you can do, how to prepare and all, right? So we at eCoaching also, we have a dedicated GK by VK group as well. You can go to Telegram, search GK by VK. You can get all the 14 months GK, wherein you can prepare it thoroughly. There are monthly magazines which you can go ahead with it. And very proud to say that last year, approximately 70% of, when I'm talking about all the 6 passages, there were 4 passages taken direct with what we have tracked, that what we have taught in last few marathon sessions. So there'll be few marathon sessions wherein you can go ahead and appear for GK as well. Legal reasoning, as I said, read. And plus, apart from reading, there'll be books, right? You can refer to any book or any decent coaching institute who is preparing you for all this CLAT examination and all, including e-coaching. So wherein you can take their books and you can just read through the books, because you need to save your time there. There will not be major challenge in understanding the paragraph or understanding the data, but the idea is, the challenge is your speed will go down if you are not comfortable with certain jargons. For example, if I talk about legal, if you get a passage on vicarious liability, if you get a, let's say, passage on law of torts, if you get a passage on legal illegal confinement, or the difference between a culpable homicide and a murder, if you are thorough with this particular thing, you don't have to read the passage and you can directly jump to the questions, right? So that's where you can save time. So legal, the next 50 days, make sure you are thorough with all the jargons. Logical reasoning, practice critical reasoning from whichever paper is asking you for CR, including GMAT or a GRE, CLAT for that matter, past year question paper. You will have a lot of material on e-coaching Telegram group as well, wherein you can get a lot of material pertaining to critical reasoning. So practice as much as possible. And then last is quants, which is very basic. So these are the 5 sections, 120 questions, 120 marks. All we are talking about is 90 odd marks, 95 odd marks to get into the top 3 NLUs. Which section do you think will be the most challenging for you? And as I said, now there are, when I'm talking about 2 major areas, so I typically feel, because there are a lot of humanities students, they go ahead and appear for CLAT examination. And the major challenge which is there with humanities students is they don't go for, they don't attempt quantitative aptitude, because that's where the challenge is, according to them, I'm saying. Because nowadays it's very, very easy, right? Quantitative aptitude is very easy. This is where I'm taking, these are low hanging fruits, right? Plug them first. You feel that in quants we won't be able to get the score, but I am telling you, probably in sections like critical reasoning, in sections like legal, wherein you have to apply the logic, there is a certain limit in these 2 sections. Some questions, I mean, with respect to accuracy. When it comes to GK and when it comes to quants, which you guys personally feel is very difficult to score, I'm telling you, because that's where majority of the students, they struggle in. They do the strategy which they apply is very incorrect. They try to maximize their score in legal and CR, which is difficult. But if you try to maximize your score in current affairs and quants, I'm telling you, you can still go ahead and score better. When I'm talking about study techniques, yes, it is very important to create a schedule. So plan your weekly and study schedule. That's goals. That is point number 1. You should know among the 5 sections wherein I'm struggling, right? What kind of score I am getting, and accordingly give your weightage. Accordingly give weightage. And if you ask me, a general statement, though, it depends a lot with the kind of mocks, the score which you're getting in mocks, if you have started giving the mocks. Okay. So if I talk about score, the roughly your time, your at least 20-30% of the time should go in reading, because I'm telling you, logic over the time through practice can be developed, but that concentration power is something which you need to develop. So 20-30% of the time should go with reading. Roughly, I would say 50% of the time you should go with GK, and rest 30% among other sections. That is what I generally tell my students, those who are preparing for CLAT with me. Use quality study material, use standard study material, because I can see a lot of materials which are floating around on Telegram, WhatsApp. Use quality study material, please. That is what you need to ensure. Mind maps and summaries, yes, that is required for memory retention. But yes, when I said that reading when we have divided the timings, that is something which you need to understand. GK and, as I said, your reading, these are the 2 major areas you need to focus on. And what study methods have you found most effective so far? If I talk about study methods specifically, so these are the things which you need to do. The first thing is give mocks, right? When I'm saying mocks, so on an average, when I tell my students that a student who is not given, let's say, somewhere around 50-60 odd mocks, he or she is not eligible to go for a CLAT examination, right? So generally I'm saying a typical 1 year, 2 year student. So now if you started giving mocks now, at least by the time you're going for your CLAT examination, I should say you should give at least, if not more, at least you should say 30 odd mocks. So why 30? We still have good sufficient time wherein we can give mocks. But giving mocks will not give you results, will not pay you this thing. When I'm saying mocks, you should analyze your mocks. When I'm telling students that when I'm talking about mocks, it's a 120 minutes test. But if you are not devoting somewhere around 3 hours on analyzing that mock, this mock or the next mock which you are giving will not pay you any results. When I'm talking analyzing your mocks, you should know what kind of questions are going wrong for you. You should know what kind of topic in GK you are struggling with. You should know what kind of time I am devoting in all the sections. So one more thing which I want to mention here at this point of time, make sure you are devoting a particular time in the sections. If you are, let's say, scoring well in certain section but you are giving more time, I'm telling you it is a opportunity cost. At the end of the day, you will not be able to secure a seat in NLU. So if I have to talk about a timing distribution while giving CLAT examination, somewhere around 25 minutes for English language, uh, 7 to 8 minutes in GK, 10 to 12 minutes in quants, 35 minutes in legal, and 35 minutes in critical reasoning. So if you put together, you will end up at 120 odd minutes. This is the strategy which you need to follow. Sequence, change your sequence in all the mocks whatsoever, all the mocks when you are giving, when you are giving mocks, let's say when I'm talking about 30, 35 odd mocks which you need to give. So make sure you change your sequence, because CLAT doesn't give you any sequence. CLAT is not testing you on section wise and a section wise scores. It's a overall score and it's a overall paper, right? So if you start with quants, or you want to end with GK, or you want to, let's say, keep quants in middle, that is something which you need to decide based on where you are maximizing your score. So along with giving the mocks, you should analyze your mocks as well. And the last and very important, join study groups. There are a lot of study groups which are there on Telegram, WhatsApp. But again, I'm requesting you, just make sure utilize your time judicially. Don't only focus on collecting a lot of material, just focus on collecting a quality material and give that. And as I said, you can just refer to e-coaching group or a GK by VK group on Telegram. You will find a lot of mocks, and you can even get in touch with the team. They will help you out, if with getting a lot of free mocks as well you can appear for. So as I said, if you have not given any test, if you have not given any mock, even if you give, let's say, 25 30 mock from right now, and you do analyze them well, you still hold a good chance to get into a national law universities. And as I said, very important, time management is something which you need to get into during the examination also and during the preparation also. And I have touched upon both these aspects: during the examination, the section time when I'm talking about, and during preparation, as I said, what kind of percentage of timing you need to devote on which all sections. That is something which you need to understand. So talking about stress management, so yes, you should try meditation, deep breathing, physical exercise. I always tell students that whatever sports, curricular, extracurricular activities, you should make sure whatever hobbies you pursue, right, make sure you give those 1.5 hour on pursuing those hobbies or those activities, because that is what energize you, that is what give you that kick. Stay positive, right? Surround yourself with supportive peers and mentors. So if someone is saying, let's say, at this point of time preparing of CLAT, it's very difficult, so just leave them. At least it will give you experience for sure. Go ahead, give CLAT. And what if, let's say, if you give if there was a paper as it was in CLAT 2023, right? I have seen students who have started their preparation in last 2 months also getting a decent NLU, right? So take breaks, don't forget to take short breaks, right? So please do take break, don't take too much stress. And I'm telling you, if you follow all these things, basically the things will be sorted for sure. If I talk about books and websites, and I have anyways given you the Telegram link, Telegram group name and all. If I talk about books, I think there are a lot of past year question papers which you can definitely go ahead and refer them. There are a lot of books there. Uh, Whatever website, so there is one website, if I'm not wrong, Study Buddy or something, wherein Study Buddy, I think, wherein you get past year question paper. And there are many players in the market, those who give their mock test. You can go and refer those website as well. And there are certain online courses, but again, online courses, you need to make sure, understand one thing: refrain from spending too much time on online courses, because it will waste your time. So it's better to start GK. I'll again repeat, go to GK by VK group. English, just focus on reading comprehension passages. Past year question paper should help you for sure. For critical reasoning, practice GMAT book. They have a lot of critical reasoning questions. You can do that as well. And if I talk about legal may you pick any book, just go ahead and read those chapters. There's a confined syllabus as far as legal is concerned. If you just type on internet, you will get the confined syllabus. Just go ahead and read that book, that should be sufficient as of now. That is a maximum which I can do, right? So the final step is regular study habits, right? That is point number one. And GK specifically, yes, I want to emphasize on lead to a better retention. You need to revise, revise, and revise. If you're trying to mug up the things as far as GK is concerned, that's very difficult. And GK is the section which will give you a maximum ROI, 7 minutes, 25 marks. That is a maximum ROI which you can get with GK. Practice regularly. So you should engage with different question formats, different competitors. There are different players in the market. So make sure you should give mocks from all the different players in the market and stay updated with all the current and legal development which is happening so far, right? So these are the last and final tips which I want to share with all of you guys, right? So if you have any particular question, you can feel free to ask.
So we can take up the questions in the end.
Sure,
Let
sure,
us
we can
complete.
take it. Sure,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah. Uh, yeah, I would like to spend 2 minutes talking about MentorMe services. So MentorMe is a career guidance and skill platform where we, help you self-discover yourself, upskill yourself, and help you in employability also. And we provide end-to-end support to students through their entire career life cycle, starting from long-term planning for their career, choosing their course, and helping in stream selection. So our services, as I mentioned, we are offering career planning and career development, and course and college selection guidance for both Indian universities and for foreign universities. So we have study abroad support. Then we are also offering skill development courses. So for any more details regarding CLAT exam, we have a video link in description. You can get an, you can go to that video link for more details about the exam. And for any doubts or any clarification or any detailed guidance, you can get in touch with us. We have our contact details on the slide. We have our phone number. Then here is our website, www.mentormeright.in. You can write an email to us, admin@mentormeright.in. So this is how you can connect to us. And now I open the session to question and answers. If you have any questions, sir, we have few questions in the chat. I can take those questions.
Yeah, so I have this thing. So can you please let me know what are the important topics? So Meghna, important topics in which all sections you are talking about. So if I talk about important sections, important topics in GK. So GK, anything which is global this thing. So what we have seen over the years is, so CLAT doesn't ask you any questions which is very local, right? So you can, let's say, expect questions. Maybe it is on a all India level, not a state level questions you can expect, or something which is on a global level. These are the two areas which CLAT typically focus on. For example, now we are talking about Supreme Court came ahead and they have changed, I think, their design of flag. So these are the questions typically you can definitely expect. Then we are talking about now the we are talking about Nobel Award winners in different areas. So these are the topics definitely which will be a concern area for the, which should be the kind of questions which you can expect for sure. But you can't expect a questions on, let's say, Ratan Tata. So this is where the difference is. So they will ask questions which is globally, and when I'm taking current affairs, so their linkage is something which will take you to, towards if I talk about, let's say, if now I'm talking about there is a demise of Ratan Tata, so the questions you can expect related to TCS, related to Tata company for sure. So that is something which you can expect. So this is where the topics will come into picture. How many hours should we study every day to prepare well for CLAT? So Hariswati, at this point of time, there should be no restriction as such, because we are talking about 40-45 odd days now, giving the mock, analyzing the mock, learning from your mistake. So at least 5 to 6 hours is something which you should definitely take up. Can you please let me know what are the topics I need to focus in legal reasoning section? If I talk about legal reasoning section, focus on law of torts, law of crimes, law of constitution, then international law, family law. I think these topics should do for sure. Can you please suggest any good books? So as I said, books or websites. So Study Buddy, I think, is the website wherein you find all the the mock test and the study material from all the players for sure.
So if anybody else has any question, you can type in chat. or otherwise you can get back to us for any detailed guidance or any further clarifications. You can get in touch with us. So this was a very informative session, and it would be, I'm sure it would be very useful for the students who are going to prepare for CLAT in the days to come. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.